And welcome back to Straight Talk. The field of Republican candidates for Oregon's governor is continuing to grow. With just over 3 months until the primary, voters are starting to hear more from the people hoping to lead the state. And that includes Ed Diehl, state representative for Oregon's 17th district in the Oregon House of Representatives. He was first elected in 2022, and he serves on several House committees, including as vice chair of the Health Care Committee. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good to be here.
Appreciate your time. Okay, well, first, I just want to start with what prompted your decision to run for the governor of Oregon?
Yes, well, Oregon has a lot of problems, and I think I'm in a unique position to solve them. I have a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering. Before I got into the legislature, I built and ran a business with my wife and 2 partners. We did factory automation and control systems. So that is my background in engineering and business. And I solve problems for a living, and I get results. And I look at Oregon, and we live in the most beautiful state in the country. We really do. It's one of the reasons I live here. The rivers and streams, the mountains, you got the coast. But what good is that if you can't afford to live here? What good is that if your kids can't get a good education, or you don't feel safe on your streets, or businesses are fleeing? So I want to build an Oregon that is not only the most beautiful state in the country, but the best state to live, work, raise a family, and retire. And that's my vision for what we can do with Oregon. And for me, that starts with a government that is accountable. I believe after 4 decades of one-party governance, it doesn't matter what party you're in, your government is no longer accountable. Congresswoman Maxine Dexter said it best, the Democrat Party in Oregon's gotten lazy. So we need a government that's accountable. I want a cost of living that is affordable, and I want to see an economy that is thriving, and I know I can do that.
And we'll get into specifics about how you feel you can do that, but you were first elected to the Oregon House in 2022, as we mentioned. How do you feel like your time in the state legislature has helped you prepare for this?
Well, I've been in there long enough to see what's broken, but not long enough to have it break me. So I have a really good feel for how things work. And my approach in the legislature is really, I work with everybody in there, and I try and find common ground with everybody. Being in my position, what I've seen is there's a lot of things that go on in that building that I know the Oregon people don't agree with, but they're going through anyway, and it's very frustrating. Bills that I know would be unpopular kind of get rammed through there, and other bills that I know would be popular are stopped. And this referendum is the classic case in point, where we had a bill that was wildly unpopular with the Oregon people and went through anyway. And so we had an opportunity to push back on that. So I really see myself as someone who's has a good take on where the Oregon people are at. And I want to make sure that they're represented in their government.
So we are seeing, we'll talk more about the referendum, and ODOT and the impacts of that, but the primary right now, the amount of people who want to become the Republican nominee for governor is growing, as we mentioned. What do you think you have that makes you stand out from the others right now?
I think a lot of it is my background. I came from a pretty middle-class family. My dad was a logger and a truck driver. I had a great opportunity to go to a great university, Stanford. Got a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, a master's in mechanical engineering, smart product design. So that gives me, I look at things at a system level, and really, how do I fix problems? And then my business background. I took that risk. I sold a car. I put my house on the line with two little kids at home, and started a business with my partners and my wife, and built that up to about 100 employees. So we had 100 folks, family wage, living wage jobs that we were supporting. And I know how that works, okay? And I think that is unique in all the field, on the R side and the D side. And so I want to bring that to the governor's office.
Some of the priorities you've emphasized are education, homelessness, forest management, and supporting ranchers and farmers. But if you were governor today, what would be the first thing you'd want to focus on?
The first thing I want to focus on is I want to make sure that our agencies are accountable and have the right priorities. And we're just not doing that right now. And everybody, I think, is well aware of it because of the referendum process. So one thing I want to do is do 100% performance audit, detailed performance audit on every agency. I want to know where every ounce of taxpayer dollars is going to. We have doubled our state budget in 10 years. Doubled it. You can't explain that with inflation. You can't explain that with population growth. And people are just not feeling the love from that. They're not getting the value for that. So we need to be really clear that our agencies have the right priorities that are aligned with the Oregon people and are spending that money wisely. That's number one.
When you're talking about education too, you said that was one of your priorities.
Yeah,
it's on your website as your top priority. Democrats argue that Republicans may be concerned about costs when it comes to education, but maybe don't bring solutions or specific solutions to the table to improve, Oregon outcomes for students. What do you think needs to be done around education that you'd want to focus on?
That's a ridiculous claim. We should be concerned about cost. Everybody should be. We don't have an infinite supply of money. We need to make sure that money is being used wisely. In Oregon, this governor is the superintendent of public education, so you have a key role in that. I don't think anybody in Oregon feels like our public schools are doing a great job. We are spending tons of money and getting dismal results. Part of that is we do not have the right priorities. So for me, as superintendent of public education, I want to get them focused on the core focus of education, reading and writing and arithmetic. I would get DEI out of our schools and focus on building great citizens. And I don't think it's that complicated. If you talk to teachers, regular teachers, they're as frustrated as we are. They don't have the ability to even control their own classrooms. And they want to focus on the same things that I want to focus on. So I believe that we can bring our schools back. It's not a money issue. It is a priorities issue.
Okay, let's talk about the referendum that you mentioned about ODOT and the transportation tax last year that will now be going to the voters instead. Why did you feel that was necessary? You really led the charge against that.
I had some great partners with Jason Williams and Senator Bruce Starr, but I led the volunteer signature gathering effort, all volunteers. And I think I was the only legislator that was willing to jump in there. But what I saw in the building is we had a governor and a Democrat leadership that openly defied the will of the Oregon people. They rammed this bill through. They knew it wasn't popular, but they didn't think that the people would speak up. And so we had the opportunity, despite the governor narrowing that window down of time that we could gather signatures. We needed 79,000 signatures. We gathered 250,000 signatures plus in 38 days. That is unprecedented.
We have heard from ODOT, who has said we could have to make layoffs. We will have to reduce service to roads. What do you think needs to happen? What would you say to them who say that, as this will be the response of this?
We don't want to see maintenance folks laid off. We want to see maintenance prioritized above all. If you go look at the priorities for ODOT right now and look at what their strategic plan is and their top 3 goals, you know what the top goal for ODOT is equity. Equity doesn't fill potholes. It doesn't pave roads. I want road safety and maintenance prioritized above all. I think if we get our priorities straight and we demonstrate to the Oregon people that we have those straight and we're using their money wisely, then we can have a conversation about what funding is needed. We also fund our ODOT in a wonky way. It's all based on fees. There's no reason we couldn't use general fund money. There's no reason we couldn't do other things to make sure that ODOT is funded. But it starts with having the right priorities, and you demonstrate to the Oregon people that you're doing that.
Okay, just because we're limited on time, I'm going to move on to something else. It's a national issue that's been top of mind for many Oregonians, is immigration enforcement. How do you feel the actions of ICE have gone so far in our state?
I have mixed feelings about that. I would say as governor, number one, I want to make sure that we are cooperating with federal law enforcement to get the bad guys out of here. As governor, I will not be protecting human traffickers, gang members, prostitution ringleaders. And right now, our governor has drawn this hard line where our law enforcement cannot cooperate, even cooperate with the feds. That's unconscionable to me. We need that cooperation. And that's simple, to get the bad guys out of here. And I also believe we need to have communication with the feds so there's some transparency in what's going on. And frankly, if I was governor, the heat would go down on this. And I don't believe that ICE would even feel the need to be here because we would be cooperating to begin with to go after the bad guys. You
said you had mixed feelings. So what else is there that you felt like was a mixed
feeling? So I have seen some actions. Recently, some Venezuelans were detained. They were brought back. I would like some transparency over that and understand what that Venezuelan family, why that happened. I don't think it's clear. I think they came into the country under one set of rules and then those rules changed. But I would like some transparency and understand what the feds are doing in that case. And as governor, I would be working with them. I would be communicating with them to understand. I would not be screaming at the sky. I would not be pushing and not allowing law enforcement to even cooperate and get the bad guys out of this state. So it'd be much different.
One more thing, just because we only have 30 seconds, but you said as governor you would want to cooperate with law enforcement, which is right now the sanctuary laws that we have in place. Do you mean you would want to change those laws?
I think that where things got off the rails was with Kate Brown's executive order back in, I think, 2017, and then that was put in law in 2021. And that drew a hard line where law enforcement can't even cooperate with the federal government. We need to be able to cooperate in order to make sure we do our obligation as state law enforcement to provide safe communities.
Okay. Republican candidate for governor and state representative Ed Diehl, thank you so much for being with us today. Okay. And we mentioned the growing list of Republican candidates for governor. There are currently 13 on the Republican ticket. That includes Senator Christine Drazan, who narrowly lost the 2022 governor's race and is seeking a rematch against Tina Kotek, centering her campaign around affordability and what she calls failed leadership at the top of state government.
We have got to figure out how we are going to hold the line on taxes, how we can roll back taxes, and how we can listen to Oregonians again. So number one, I am running for governor because I believe that our state can be the best place in the nation to raise a family and start your business and learn a trade and get a world-class education, but we have to fix affordability.
Chris Dudley is running for a second time. The former Portland Trailblazer first ran in 2010, losing by a slim margin. He says Oregon lacks accountability and leadership and wants to focus on the economy, education, and livability, working across party lines to solve problems.
All the partisan, the name calling thing, we got to stop that. We need someone from the outside who has the expertise to come in and say, hey, we can work together and we can solve this state's problems.
And we will have Dudley on next week on Straight Talk. And in her run, Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel is focusing on local issues, small business support, and improving government accountability. And finally, David Medina, a conservative with a large online following. Medina is known for being pardoned by President Trump after charges related to January 6th. He wants to increase public safety and clean up Portland streets. The primary election is on May 19th. The winner is presumed to face Governor Tina Kotek in November. We will be keeping tabs on these races as the primary election inches closer. You can find more information on all the candidates and updates at kgw.com. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Straight Talk. A reminder, you can stream Straight Talk on your own schedule anytime. You can download the free TV app, KGW Plus. It's available now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.